Hello friends, welcome again. Let's quickly summarize what we have discussed in the last lecture. So in the last lecture we actually talked about what is the right way of choosing the correct publishing platform, how should we approach publishing a paper, and what are the right ways of picking a publishing house, what are the parameters using which a journal or a publishing platform is actually characterized, which journal is important for you, and what should be your strategy to pick a right platform. Now is the time to understand one more important stage in the publishing process, which is actually none other than the review process. It is always said that whatever you do, a second opinion is always good to have. It's a matter for you to understand or you to decide whether you entertain that opinion or not, but it is always very good to have second set of eyes or second opinion about your work, because it gives you opportunity to fix your work way ahead of time and buys you time to revise what you have done wrong. So this was a good brief. Let's get into the slide and try to understand what we are planning to talk about in the review process. So this is a very important question. I guess this will clear up lots of important things or lots of misconceptions for us, and it is going to resolve our queries much faster. So the question is actually, why do papers normally get rejected? So suppose a student or early stage researcher is actually publishing a paper, and when they submitted the paper, there are lots of times they keep seeing the rejection. And let me go ahead and say that this is not something unusual. It normally happens to everyone. Everybody faces rejection of research papers due to one or the other reasons. Now these are the reasons that I have listed here, which are commonly visible in the review process. So the silly mistakes normally that people would make is, first of all, lack of technical relevance. You might be talking about a topic which does not have technical relevance to the current technology trend, or you might not have thought about discussing your topic well enough so that it shows the scientific inclination, or it does not really expose the value of your topic. Second silly mistake that you could do is the verbose. That means writing lengthy papers using large number of words in order to explain short piece of information. Now why this becomes normally the reason for rejection is there, because reviewers tend to lose their patience while going through the lengthy research papers, and it is of course not a good practice to write long paragraphs, long research papers, or the long sentences for that matter. The third silly mistake is, of course, as we have discussed earlier in sections also, is spelling and grammatical mistakes. This is one of the silliest thing that can actually get your paper rejected, because reviewers don't want to spend time fixing grammatical mistakes before considering your paper for publishing. It is extra addition of work for the reviewer or publisher, so it is not going to be appreciated at the early stage of the processing of your paper. The last thing that can happen in a wronger way is deviation from the standard paper. So we know that there is a format that is always followed as a practice across the community. Every journal or every publishing house has their own formatting or standard way of publishing research papers. Now, if your paper does not meet the requirement of the format very well, then there is a huge chance that your paper is going to be rejected. Now, other than these small mistakes, there are some advanced reasons also for which your paper can be rejected later in this stage of review. First point could be results not being backed by enough reasoning or data. Well, it's very true, because if you have come up with an idea or an experiment, but the data or the results or the statistics that you have presented in the research paper are not really backing up what you are saying in the conclusions or the result sections or the discussion section, then it's not going to be very coherent information for the reviewer. So this often leads to confusion and your paper gets rejected. Second thing, it could be because of technical errors like invalid data, presenting of wrong data, right? Copy pasting the data from somewhere else which is irrelevant to your research, things like this. Third observation is obsolete discussions, no validity at present. What if you are talking about a research work which is having no technical relevance to the current time, and actually you are talking about an obsolete technology which is not going to be entertained at all in the current state of research, then it's not going to be appreciated by the review team at all. Now we have understood that why is review so important and why people reject papers during the review process. Now we need to understand why to get reviewed, or why should we ask somebody to review your paper. So let's see point by point and understand why it is so important. First thing is that it gives you opportunity to fix logical and technical errors in the manuscript or your paper before the official review actually happens. So you are actually trying to buy time to revise what you have done and fix what you can by collecting observations in the unofficial peer review. Second point says that it brings multiple ideas on table which helps author to revise the content. So while you get reviewed, you not only get comments about the mistakes in your paper, but you might also get comments about how you should present your idea, or what all things you must be focusing on in your research. Probably you might have missed talking about a particular area of discussion and that was important to be discussed. So those kind of ideas actually and feedbacks bring you opportunity to revise the content and make it more useful and um, attractive, right? Third point says that it prevents substandard or incompetent data to reach reviewers. Well, this is not going to be liked by any publishing house if they are going to receive substandard data or substandard papers. You are writing a paper which is not having any technical data, or which is lacking any discussion, or which is lacking any kind of scientific use or scientific validity, then the research paper is not of any value as per the current state of the research being done. So the common opinion would be here is that you are more likely to lose the interest of reviewers. Fourth point is that it is a standard practice accepted worldwide. Well, yes, this is correct that a review process at any stage is actually a very great standard practiced all over the world in various disciplines. It's not just about the technical documentation as such, but in any kind of work process or work ethics, review process is very key, because when you get your work, or when you get your ideas reviewed by others, you are likely to get good and creative or constructive feedback which will help you improve on your ideas and uh, be more creative, be more innovative, and you can come up with a very good outcome at the end of the review. The last point also says that it can also ignite creativity and self-realization. Well, I will not talk about creativity right now because I have already talked about it enough, but the self-realization is a stuff that we need to really understand very well. Self-realization here means that reviewers, when they give feedback, they are giving honest feedback about what they feel. Now it's author's responsibility to make sure they understand very well the problems with their paper and what is actually lacking. When they really understand what is wrong with the paper, it is good for them, because in the coming times when they write further papers or new researches or documentations, it is going to be useful for you itself to improve the technical writing as well as the way you think about the ideas. So it is self-realization that helps you in the coming times. Now, it is one of the uh, key concerns of people that whom should we pick as good reviewers. If I am a student, whom should I pick as a reviewer? Or if I am an engineer, whom should I pick as a reviewer? Because if I have to do a peer review, who are the best people or candidates to review my paper or to review my idea? So always look out for the people around you and pick out a panel of review which has diverse skill sets and diverse mindsets. So why I'm saying is that because if you pick pick people with similar expertise, you are going to get feedback from all of the people in the similar lines of concerns. But if you are picking panel of review which has diversified expertise, then you are more likely to get honest opinions and diversified opinions which will help you fix your research paper documentation in a much more better way. Now friends, there is one more very important topic which needs to be understood very early very early in the publishing or the documentation process, is that we need to know that while writing any technical work or any technical documentation, our work should not be a piece of theft. Well, let me rephrase that and say that whatever we are writing in our technical paper or a research paper, it should not be plagiarized data. That means it should not be a stolen data. So let's jump into the definition itself and understand what does plagiarism means. Plagiarism, according to the Oxford definitions, is actually presenting someone else's work or ideas as your own with or without their consent, by incorporating it into your work without full acknowledgement, right? So what this means is that whenever you pick or when you import somebody else's idea, probably from a patent or from a research paper or a technical article, and you put it inside your research paper, you document it, and you do not acknowledge the owner of that information or the source of that information, then it becomes a plagiarism plagiarism, or it's a theft issue. So this is actually a very disciplinary offense which includes all published and unpublished materials in manuscript, printed or electronic form. So peer review is something which actually is very important to briefly prevent plagiarism being exercised unknowingly. Because when you do peer review, the peers that you have selected in the panel of your review might be expert of their own domain, and they have their own understanding in the field of research. So they might be able to help you if the data that you have copied in your article is actually possibly present somewhere else, or it is copied from another sources of data. So in the next slide, I am going to show you how to use online tools to check for the plagiarized content. So as I told friends that there are online tools which are available for you to actually understand whether the piece of text that you have written in your research paper is actually plagiarized or not, or does it contain any duplicate information which has been copied from another source of data. So those tools actually do this kind of detection by scanning through the internet and compares your text with the technical resources online for the duplication or similarity. So this is the process which those tools utilize in order to check for the percentage of plagiarism in your paper. Now after knowing this, that your paper has plagiarized content, then it's author's responsibility to either alter or change the data or the content so that the plagiarism or conflict of interest is nullified. It is very important, friends, because during the official review stages, the publishing houses or the publishing platforms do these kind of checks before they actually reach the reviewers, and if you are not qualified with plagiarism checks, then it is hardly a matter of time that your paper might just get rejected. So we need to be very mindful about these things, because as we saw earlier that this is a disciplinary offense. So friends, I have also listed down here a couple of tools that you can find online. Uh, these tools probably are paid, or most of them, a couple of them are unpaid resources. So feel free to download them and check them out. And you just have to paste your text in those tools and then click submit in order to understand whether the text that you have pasted is actually a duplicate content or not. So friends, that's it about review. It was a very important step. I hope you guys understand the importance of this stage very well. So I personally suggest you that if you are already in a stage of writing a research paper, please do pick your panel properly. And as we discussed, have a diversified panel which is going to help you in getting diversified feedback and honest reviews, and it will give you more opportunities to come up with a much more refined content in the research paper. So again, thank you guys, and see you in the next lecture.